You're tuned into SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network.
And writer of the Emmy Award-winning producer of True South. He also has a new book coming out called House of Smoke. John, I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time. I am a big fan of yours, not only from watching you on True South, but as a former history teacher and now current athletic director, the Pot Liquor Papers is one of my favorites. So I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to join us today and talk a little bit. So.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for engaging with my work. It means a lot to me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. I like to tell as many people as I can. I said between you and Wright, I really feel like you are the storytellers of our generation, and you are able to kind of capture food. Wright does the stuff with the sport as well. But like, I think you guys just do such a good job, and you can write it in a way that is so approachable. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. So I wanted to bring you on. We got a new book about the House of Smoke. True South is also kicking off on Tuesday, but I want to start with the House of Smoke. And doing my own little bit of research. For years you've been a master storyteller, telling other people's stories. You always make it personal with food. House of Smoke, now you're turning inward, and it starts with your mother's catfish stew. And I'd love for you to kind of like tell us a little bit about that. Give us some teasers of what to expect.
Yeah. So, I mean, every bone in my body is attuned to telling other people's stories. That's what I value most. But, one of the stories that I tell is about the value of restaurants and how they matter in our society. They're kind of, informal clubhouses for a community. But in falling in love with restaurants, I realized that I talked about them as second homes. And in doing that, over the last few years, I've realized, well, why did I need a second home? What was it about my first home, the home in which I grew up, that compelled me to develop this relationship with restaurants as second homes? And that's the work I've done, is to figure that out, to realize that over time, like a lot of people, I think, I've gone on a quest to figure out where I belong and, the place I want to claim. And it's not where I grew up in Clinton, Georgia. It's Oxford, Mississippi, the college town where I live now. And this is the home I claim. This is the place I claim. And my love of restaurants was kind of an escape from my first home. And now I've found my true home, Oxford.
I love that, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. I know that I believe it was last season. We talked a little bit. We visited the site of your mother's grave, and that was a powerful episode. And I'm curious to see I'll be honest with you. I was watching it last night, kind of preparing, just getting myself ready, and it was powerful when I saw it then. Just powerful then. So what was that like for you as you and the crew were going back to Clinton, and you were going through that, getting ready to shoot the season? Like, what was the emotions going on for you for there?
I mean, for me, I live 6 hours west of Clinton, Georgia, where I grew up now. And so going back, I returned to the age I was growing up. I mean, I'm 8, I'm 10, I'm 12. I'm 17, which is the age I was when I left Jones County, Georgia, Clinton, Georgia. So to crawl back into your childhood is a really powerful thing. We staged a party that you'll see that ends episode. The episode focused on Clinton, Georgia. The end of the episode is focused on a party we hosted at a local little golf course. And friends that I hadn't seen since Little League Baseball came into the room, and we ate chili dogs from my favorite chili dog place, and we ate barbecue from Fresh Air Barbecue just outside of my hometown. And to step back into your old world, to to talk about Little League Baseball as if, that's what you're going to do the next day, not something you did 45 years ago. That's a really powerful emotional wallop.
Yeah.
So, if you read my book and if you've seen that episode of the show, the one you talked about with my mother's catfish stew, there's some tough stories in my past, some darkness that I've had to face down, violence that was a threat to me and my family. And the thing I realized going back to Clinton, Georgia, is that it's not just darkness I find there, it's lightness. It's the friends I knew growing up. It's my favorite hot dog place, my favorite barbecue place. All those things bring me joy. And so returning sometimes for people can be hard, returning to where they grew up. For me, there was a mixture of that. There's the hard stuff, but there was also great grace and beauty in my return.
I love the fact that you get that grace and beauty, and the way that you say. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised that you say it so well. Like I said, I've enjoyed everything you do there, but that grace and
Thank you.
beauty, and like I think that's one of the most powerful things. Like as I think it's one of the most powerful parts of like True South. I think sometimes when people think of like the SEC network, they're thinking of football, they're thinking of basketball, they're thinking of baseball. But what you are able to do on that show is you're able to bring out those little hometowns and basically those towns that are beyond Athens and they're beyond
Yeah.
Auburn and stuff like that. And it's so
Yeah.
special to bring up that story. So I love that grace and beauty that you provide to all of us and to those people really comes back to you as well.
Oh, thank you. I mean, we get a license in the show to pay attention to everyday Southerners, people who, may live in a small town that prosperity has passed that town by and that town is struggling, or the people living in that town is struggling. We, by way of True South, get to listen to those people. We get to listen to their stories and then help project those stories back into the world. And in that, I think people get to recognize that whatever the challenge they're facing down, there are other people facing down similar challenges. That's one of the promises. And then when you show something joyful on True South, you realize, oh yeah, that makes me happy too.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. No, and to me, that's what I always figured like that plate of food. To me, like you bring a plate of food, someone makes you a plate of food, you bring that to the table. That's a welcoming piece, right? That's a time for us to get together and to gather and to maybe
That's right.
forget about our differences. So I think you guys,
That's right.
you do a beautiful job with that.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no problem. All right, last two questions because I know you got to get going
Yes,
here
sir.
in a minute. So you spent some time at the University of Georgia, and I know Oxford
I
is your
did.
hometown, Ole Miss. I got to ask you the question because since this is a football show, who are you rooting for come October 18th when Ole Miss travels to Athens?
Oh, Ole Miss all day long.
Good.
My father-in-law, who taught at Auburn, was Dean of Liberal Arts, or Dean of Arts and Sciences, I think is exactly what it was called. He was Dean of Arts and Sciences for a quarter of a century. He told my wife, after his daughter, my wife, after she went off to college, and she went to Auburn undergrad, and then went to Hollins for a graduate degree, and then finally went to Michigan for an MFA. And she was talking about football allegiance. He said, "Well, you always cheer for your paycheck."
I like that.
And my allegiance to this university is bigger than that, but it's also the place that employs me,
Yep.
and it's a place that I choose to contribute. I love it.
Yeah, I had the fortunate experience. I'm actually from Detroit. My nephew's just starting at U of M, Ann Arbor, right now. But
That's
I got
great.
yeah. So yeah, I actually got to go down to Oxford in 2022. It was for the Alabama Ole Miss game. I was at the Grove there, and then I actually went down to cover the Mississippi State Georgia game down in Starkville. So I got to experience Oxford and the Grove, and I got to experience Little Stark Vegas. So it is truly special. So it is fantastic. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place to live.
It is. Well, John, I really appreciate it. I know that we're going to be making sure to promote your new book. I know I'm looking forward to reading
Thank
House of
you.
Smoke. And
Thank you.
Tuesday night, we'll have True South appearing
Season
on
8.
SN.
That's
Yep,
right.
season 8, which I can't believe either. I feel like it's just
Yeah,
started.
me
I can
either.
only imagine for you.
Yeah, I'm just kind of dumbfounded we get to do it.
Yeah, hey, that's a beautiful thing. But I wish you nothing but the best of luck. Maybe not as much October 18th. I have to admit, I'm still being a writer for the Dogs, being a fan for the Dogs. I hope to
Yeah.
maybe return the favor a little bit. What happened last year in Oxford?
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, no, no.
I was with two old college friends at that game, and I had more fun than they did, I think.
You know what? It was surprising, but you know what? It's fun. And
Yeah.
and what Lane Kiffin's done to Oxford, I think it's a beautiful thing. It's bringing lots of students I know to campus, but it's just there's just a
Yeah.
great energy for Oxford and
Yeah.
Ole Miss football. So
Agreed. Well, have a great rest of your afternoon. I appreciate the time.
thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it. Have a great
Thank you.
day.
Okay.
DC Pretty campus tour. We have our girl Dailey Joy with us. Joy, how's it going? Tell us where you are, first of all, and happy Friday to you as we are coming to everybody from the past right now.
Yeah, this is wild. I am great. I am in Columbus, Ohio. The weather is beautiful. The campus is alive. Like you can absolutely tell that they have a top 25 matchup happening tomorrow. It is funny though. I'm walking around with a backpack on, and people are asking me if classes are canceled or if I'm like I'm not the girl for you guys. I'm too old for this place. But no, environment's incredible. College football's back, and walking through here, you can absolutely feel that.
Yeah, I think that the thing that you're going to have to do as you go to stadiums all across the country this year is differentiate yourself from a college student, unless maybe you're just itching to get back into that life for just a minute. Maybe one of these campuses can pull you back in. If you guys want to bet on that, we're going to try to get a line to figure out which campus pulls Joy back into college life.
There's one campus that can pull me back in, and it's
Obviously. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there later in the year. Don't worry. So obviously, College Game Day is in Columbus as well. Big day tomorrow as we kick off the season. One of the biggest, most anticipated matchups in the history of college football in terms of how these two teams are ranked to open the season. You also have the last ever show for Lee Corso. And so I can imagine that place is going to be an absolute madhouse in the morning. What do you expect, and what do you already said that it's busy and buzzing. What do you expect to see in right there where you're sitting tomorrow morning when you're out there?
Yeah, no, I won't be sitting here. That's for sure. I have a feeling this will be fully staked out. There are already, to the right of me, you can't see it, but there's a ton of tents. All of the like booster tents are already set out. People are already shopping. The merch stores are already open. Like there's already lines forming. There's cars lined up to already park their cars outside of the stadium. Like it will absolutely be a madhouse, which is what you expect from Ohio State University. Like this is a school. This is a program that prides itself on their game day experience, and I don't think we'll expect anything less than 100% from them. Game day is already setting up. I was supposed to be over there originally, can't get to it now. But yeah, I mean, they're already here. They're already ready to go. Students are already like engaged and lining up. I believe the line for like the Pat McAfee kickoff is already forming. And so yeah, I mean, it's going to be what you expect in like a week 7, a week 8, a week 9, where we've had like these major matchups. We're now getting those in week 1, and I'm thrilled about that. I've been saying that we should stop playing cupcakes week 1. It's so much more fun when you kind of figure out who your team is early on, and that's what we're about to find out on Saturday when Texas and Ohio State meet up.
Well, to your point, I think that there's matchups across the SEC, and not everybody is playing somebody that's a worthy opponent. I mean, Kentucky is going to continue to run that max schedule as long as they can until the SEC tells them they can't do that anymore, which is coming down the pipe, right? But you have great matchups across the league. What are you looking at outside of Texas and Ohio State as kind of the marquee matchup? And let me just put this one right on the tee for you, because I know that was an easy softball.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not talking about LSU Clemson, you're not paying attention. And I say that if I took all my bias out of it, that would still be the matchup that people were talking about. It is the two teams that I think we know the most about. I think that's what's intriguing about Texas Ohio State versus LSU Clemson. You have two like veteran quarterbacks going at it in LSU Clemson. There's two coaches that have been in coaching for a really long time, and you're sitting here going, can Brian Kelly finally get over the hump? Can they win week 1? Has Dabo finally figured out the transfer portal? Is he going to be able to plug in those transfer portal keys in areas where he really needs them and get them ready to go quickly in an era that he's not used to operating in. So I think Texas Clemson or LSU Clemson by far has the most hype to it. Texas Ohio State is intriguing because of new quarterbacks and things of that nature. I look for LSU Clemson to be ironically the more offensive heavy game, and I look for Texas Ohio State to be the more defensive heavy game, which is ironic considering the whole narrative around Texas Ohio State is the quarterback game. But I think defense wins championships, as Ohio State well knows right now, and that will continue to be a relative in both of these games that happen tomorrow.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that as long as you have Caleb Downs on the field, your defense is going to be intimidating to a degree. And Texas' defense overall, I think, is one of the best, not only in the SEC but in the country. And with two quarterbacks who don't really have much experience, I mean, we saw Arch a little bit last year, and then you're going to have Julian Sayin on the other side. I agree with you that it kind of backs off from an offensive standpoint. On the other hand, in Clemson, South Carolina, you have two very experienced quarterbacks who have weapons all around them. And so as good as Clemson's defense is, and as much confidence I have in Blake Baker with the tools that have been put in his hands this year, I do think there's going to be some scoring done in the fake Death Valley. So let's pick a few games here as we get started. Today's Friday, so tonight we have Auburn and Baylor. Talk about a meltdown waiting to happen. Auburn is actually a 1.5-point favorite here. Which way are you leaning? War Eagle, or is Baylor, the Baylor's going to get it done in Waco? This one's so interesting to me. Let me get your thoughts, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I lean Baylor in this one. And the reason that I do is that honestly, it just comes down to which head coach I trust more. And I wholeheartedly trust Dave Aranda more than I trust Hugh Freeze right now. Hugh Freeze, I gave Hugh Freeze a lot of respect when he took the Auburn job. And I applauded Auburn for the hire. I thought it was a good hire. Hugh Freeze is, but the reality is that college football has changed. And especially from the time that Hugh Freeze was at Ole Miss. And what you're doing at Liberty is not always relative or translative to coming back and coaching a program that believes they should contend for national titles every year, which is exactly what Auburn thinks about themselves. And I wholeheartedly agree. I think Auburn is a program that should compete for national championships. So until Hugh has proven to me that he deserves the benefit of the doubt, I'm not going to give it to him. Dave Aranda, on the other hand, I can understand when people will say, well, what has Dave Aranda proven to you? I would be ignorant to tell you that I don't have a little bit of bias. I know what Dave Aranda is capable of on the defensive side of the ball. He was our defensive coordinator in 2019 when we won a national championship. And I think he's going to be able to put a stop to Auburn's offense, an offense that we already have significant questions about. Now, here's the deal. Their wide receiver room could potentially be the best wide receiver room in the country. The problem is I don't trust their arm to get them the ball. And so I don't lean Hugh Freeze in this game. I don't lean Auburn. Auburn needs to come out and prove to me that they deserve my respect before I'm giving them an ounce of it.
Where's my pencil so that I can pay tribute to Lee Corso right now? Not so fast, my friend. I think that Auburn is going to be better than people expect them to be. I have more confidence in Jackson Arnold than most people do because I think that he was just playing with JV players last year with the offensive line and the injuries at receiver. And so I think that even though I agree with you, I don't trust Hugh Freeze, I do trust him to have a quarterback who can execute and have some moxie. And I think that's what it's going to take for Auburn this year. And he does have weapons around him. So I'm excited to see what they do. But in the name of God, I really hope that you're wrong and that we don't have this meltdown if the SEC is in the dumpster starting on Friday night. All right. So, as I look at this list of slate of games this weekend, I'm looking at games that are single digits in terms of what the spread is. And so let's jump to Sunday and talk about who a lot of our listeners are going to care about with South Carolina and Virginia Tech in Mercedes-Benz. That's a 7.5-point favorite Gamecocks. So let's see in the Beamer Bowl, who are the Hokies going to be able to pull something off, or is this the day that Shane Beamer starts fast and doesn't start the season slow?
Yeah, I think this is Shane Beamer's year to start fast. And if he can't do it, if he and Lenora Sellers can't get it done week 1 against Virginia Tech, then I think South Carolina fans are at liberty to worry. There's so much hype around the South Carolina team right now, and rightfully so. Lenora Sellers is an absolute phenomenal quarterback. You did what you needed to do in the offseason to prepare. And I think the questions around, is Shane Beamer the guy? Can he get it done? This is now the roster for you to prove that you're capable of getting it done. So I lean Shane Beamer. I lean South Carolina in this game. I think they take care of Virginia Tech, and I'm really honestly like not too worried about it. I have a ton of faith in South Carolina.
All right, I'm gonna present it a little differently here for this next pick, and I'll say obviously I'm picking South Carolina as well. I was high on them in our season preview last week, and I think that this is a team that is right where they were last year and kind of on the line of college football playoff. So it is going to come down to a game or two, and I don't think this is the game or two that is going to make it or break it for them. I think they have to start by winning this game and winning it, convincingly. Okay, 2 games. I'm gonna let you pick which game is the more likely upset. Okay, we've got Alabama in Tallahassee against Florida State, 14.5-point favorites, and then tomorrow at noon, while you're watching Texas and Ohio State, I will be right here in the bins already watching Tennessee and Syracuse, and that is a game where we see Tennessee favored by a similar margin at 13.5. So which team is more likely to pull the upset, 13.5-point dogs Syracuse or 14.5-point dogs Florida State?
This is the worst question you could have asked me. I will lean Syracuse, I think. Tennessee, there was so much drama in the offseason, and as much as we want to pretend like that has no effect on a program, it absolutely does. Now, at what level it does is up for debate. We won't know that until we're watching them play. But the idea that you're going to lose your quarterback that ultimately took you to the college football playoff and proceeded to lose in the stadium right behind me, and then, there's Heupel having, like, we don't know what the residual effects of that are. I had a conversation about that the other day about, like, you don't know who else in the locker room was demanding money. Like, you don't know what
Right.
player, like, you don't know how all of that affected that program. And so I would give the edge to Syracuse being able to come in and pull up an upset just because I don't know the current state of Tennessee's football program. Alabama, obviously last year, not their best year. You beat the tar out of LSU and then proceed to lose to Vanderbilt. I mean, there were questions about this Alabama team, but I think there's also some growing pains. You had a first-year head coach, like some things are different. And so unfortunately, like, Alabama is probably for quite some time still going to get a little bit more respect than maybe they've even earned because they're Alabama. And so because of that, I do lean towards Syracuse being able to pull the upset more than I think Florida State could.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree with you. I think there's a lot of question marks at Tennessee. I'm not sure who's catching the football for them tomorrow. And we really don't know what's going to shake out of the quarterback position, so anything can happen. I love Fran Brown. He may just come in there fired up and ready to go. On the other hand, we have some questions about Florida State. And although I don't have all of the confidence in the world in Ty Simpson, I think the rest of Alabama's roster is good enough to go down there and win that game. All right, two more, Joy. Let's get it done here. So we're in Clemson, South Carolina tomorrow night. You're jumping on a quick flight after you leave Columbus. Let's say we can just drop you off. You're gonna like parachute onto the field. Who is gonna take that one in a premier nighttime matchup between Tigers from LSU and Clemson?
I have to take LSU. I mean, I have to do it. And the reason that I have to do it is because if you can't do it with this roster, then you can't do it. You have, obviously, returning quarterback. You have every weapon at the wide receiver position. Blake Baker has now had a couple years with this defense. You've brought back absolute legends in the defensive coaching staff. From what I've heard coming out of fall camp, like, this is the most aggressive, the most hardcore fall camp that we have seen in quite some time, which is exactly what we needed. I obviously there's a little bit of concern about the offensive line just because of how much talent you lost, but I firmly believe that our offensive line will be completely fine. I trust Coach Davis and what he's capable of producing. We've seen him do it year in and year out. So I have to go LSU because if it's not LSU this year, then it won't be LSU for quite some time.
Yeah, I'm not pushing back on you because I picked LSU to win the SEC this year, and so if I feel that confident about them, then I think they have to go and win this game. And so if they get off to a rocky start, it really doesn't impact their ability to win the league. But I do think that I have enough confidence in the roster overall that this is a game they can go in and win. Tough out, a night game. We don't know what anybody's bringing to the table because it's week 1, so we don't have a whole lot to work off of, and a very talented Clemson team and a Clemson roster. But I'm going LSU. All right, final one. Texas is a 1.5-point favorite right there where you're sitting in Columbus, Ohio. We talked about it. Defenses are strong. Quarterbacks are fresh and new. All that's left to do is pick the game, Joy. Who do you think is going to win?
I give the edge to Ohio State, which, as I sit here in an SEC pretty hat, I feel like that's a crime. But this game has so many like similarities in the fact that like we're seeing new quarterbacks on both sides of the ball. We're about to see two elite defenses, because if there's one thing we know about both of these programs, that's something that they pride themselves on. If Ohio State's going to bring anything to this game, it's going to be an elite defense, and I think Steve Sarkisian plans on doing the exact same thing. Like I said earlier in the show, I think it comes down to defense, and if the defenses are showing up on both sides of the ball, I'm going to give the edge to Ohio State simply for home field advantage. I think that this place is going to be rocking. Now, let's be clear. I've seen plenty of Texas fans. Texas fans are traveling, and they're traveling well because they can. But I give the edge to Ohio State. I think they pull this one out. I'm taking the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, and that's tough for me to say as well. I mean, I get it. Like, we're sitting here from an SEC platform. We're really high on Texas. They've got to be a college football playoff contender and a national championship contender at that. There's a lot of faith in this roster in general and a lot of faith in Arch Manning, even though we don't have a lot to go on. Everybody believes that he's going to be at least good, right? And there's a ceiling of absolutely out of this world excellent. And so somewhere in that, the floor, I think, in everybody's mind is good. Nobody thinks he's going to be just above average or just an average quarterback. Everybody believes wholeheartedly that he's going to come out, and even if he falls kind of flat, he's still going to be good. So there's really high expectations there, but I think just because it's in Columbus and this is a huge, huge matchup, you talk about the pressure and the ability to go in and shake that off. I'm going to have a lot more confidence in him throughout the rest of the season if Texas pulls this off, and it's because of Arch Manning. So there's a lot on the line, but I think I'm going with the Buckeyes as well. One last thing that I would like to say to everybody is if you have not purchased your SEC Pretty hats yet, then what the heck are you doing? You're late. Okay, so make sure that you're doing that, and we are thankful to the always SEC Pretty Dailey Joy for being with us here live from Columbus, Ohio. We appreciate you, and we will see you next week from another location yet to be revealed to everybody. So thanks, Joy. Enjoy the game, and we will enjoy breaking down how you and I were wrong on some of these picks.
We're going to be right, Rob. We're going to be right. Thanks for having me.
We can't be right about everything. We picked opposite teams on some of these. All right. We'll be right back on SEC Sunday Night Live on the Chief Sports Network.
This is SEC. This is SEC Sunday Night on the Chief Sports Network.
Hit the lights this Sunday night. Welcome to SEC Sunday Night Live on the Chief Sports Network. Every Sunday night, we're right here at 8 o'clock, and we are brought to you by Hewitt Damaduras Law, HDLawSC.com, the best personal injury lawyers in the business. If you have an insurance issue, a fall, a dog bite, whatever it may be, we are here for you, and I am here still live in front of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Craig is apparently in Athens. What's going on? And welcome to you, my friend. Baby. We have finishing up the first weekend of college football.
Yep, live from Coral Gables. Carson Beck can still not hit a deep ball.
And you're loving it. What's your overall feel? Are you exhausted from the weekend? We've got a lot to break down, a lot to talk about. Great talking to Joy on the SEC Pretty Campus Tour. As you can see on Friday, we had some things that I think really nailed it, and we had some things that missed it, and we're going to be able to kick it off with an awesome I Was Wrong segment here in just a minute. But I just want to get your overall take. Let's zoom out. How does it feel to be back in college football season?
I love it being back. I love watching it on my TV or watching it on my iPhone. My little one is watching, Little Angels or whatever is on Netflix. But I'm going to be honest. I'm disappointed. I wanted the SEC to come in with a chip on their shoulder to 2025
and they did not do that. Outside of LSU, who looked impressive last night, especially in the second half, and did what they were supposed to do, everything else was okay or really just disappointing. I mean, I know we're going to get to what happened in Tallahassee and what happened in Columbus, but it's just not it. Like if we're going to talk about us being the top conference, you got to come in and you got to win those games, and you can't mess around.
Yeah, we're gonna really dive deeply into those two biggest games, one in Columbus and the other one in Clemson, South Carolina. So I think it's only right that we start tonight by just making a rundown of the scores across the SEC. And like you said, we had some moments that were interesting, and then we had some just kind of blah moments. I just want to run through some of these scores for you really quickly, beginning with Vanderbilt over Charleston Southern 45-3. Not a really, poignant opponent there, but we get to see Diego Pavia kind of get it lathered up. Arkansas goes 52-7 over Alabama A&M. Kentucky, with a tight one, gets the win 24-16 over Toledo. That was a big upset pick for us through the offseason, and I was really watching it for a while there. We sat at 10-2 for a long time and got 28 points between two teams scored in the fourth quarter.
Our friend Kevin McGuffey was breathing a big sigh of relief when that one was over.
Sigh. Absolutely. Yes. Mississippi State also escapes 34-17, goes to Southern Miss. Real tricky one there in Hattiesburg.
That was impressive.
Interesting stuff there from Lebby and company. Again, a little bit of a slow start. That game was tied middle of the second quarter, and then they were able to pull away and really get it to 34-10 before a late touchdown with 4 minutes left in the game pulled it to 17-point margin. I think the biggest takeaway for me there is that Blake Shapen goes 26 for 34. Doesn't look the best in the world, but he had a touchdown and a pick. But he does look like he's back from his injury, and I think that is probably the most important thing that we can gather about Mississippi State moving forward.
Yeah, big one real quick with Mississippi State. They go into hostile environment. I know Southern Miss, you're going to laugh that it's hostile environment, but Southern Miss has had Mississippi State's number. They also, Hail State went up 10-0. Southern Miss, closed it right back up 10-10, and then they went on that 24-hour run. So to me, that's impressive. That shows some growth. I'm always one to be quick to jump on Jeff Lebby and Mississippi State, so I'll give him his kudos for week one. Look out for week two.
I'll take a brief momentary break from our SEC scores to let you know that Miami has scored, and it is 7-0 here early in the second quarter in Coral Gables over Notre Dame. Also, shout out to everybody in the chat box over there. You guys are doing a great job. Thanks for jumping in early with us. Hope you enjoyed the talk with John T. Edge. Are you kidding me? True South Coast John T. Edge gets a conversation with Craig, and we get to look forward to season 8 kicking off. What an incredible conversation. And then again, we're going to have Joy with us every week from a different campus. We'll take some different looks, some different angles. There's going to be different timing on those conversations as well. But we're excited to bring you the SEC Pretty Campus Tour each and every week. Okay, let's jump back in. Ole Miss 63-7 over the Fighting Craig McMichaels of Georgia State.
Del McGee's still got a lot of work to do in Atlanta.
Well, look, man, what can we take away from an Ole Miss win like that?
Offensive line isn't as bad as David talked about last week.
Well, maybe, but we also know that it's the same old Lane Kiffin offense when facing an opponent like that. So we'll just continue to wait. They're going to head to Lexington next week. We'll look forward to that one, okay?
What was your question to me last night? Can Ole Miss cover? And what did I say? No.
Yeah, you did say no. There's a preview for I was wrong. A couple of other smaller ones here. We'll go Oklahoma 35-3 over Illinois State. John Mateer gets it going. We've got Florida 55-0 over Long Island. I don't know if that's impressive or not, if we're being honest.
No, but I tell you that week two against South Florida dominated Boise State in week one. That game in Gainesville gets a lot more interesting now because South Florida may have a little bit of a pulse, so look out.
No doubt. Okay. A couple more, and then we'll get into some more competitive action. Texas A&M 42-24 over UTSA. That game was close for quite some time. I think we were able to learn a few things. It is week 1, so I don't know how much we can really take away. But immediately off the bat, I noticed that UTSA was able to get pressure on Marcel Reed up the middle, kind of at will, and then they got loose on the offensive side against Texas A&M secondary a few times, and you're able to see some speed from the, no pun intended here, Roadrunners. And we'll see if SEC opponents are able to do the same thing against A&M. Then your Georgia Bulldogs 45-7 over the mighty Marshall, and so we know that the schedule for the Bulldogs is tough this year. But anything you want to throw in, I know that you had a great piece earlier about Georgia capitalizing on a week 1 victory where maybe some other SEC opponents weren't able to do so.
Yeah, two big things from the takeaway. First and foremost, we see now how the Georgia offense is going to evolve, and it's going to go with Gunnar Stockton's legs. As we're watching Carson Beck try to run the zone read, knowing that he is never going to run the ball, Gunnar Stockton will be using his legs. Being the first Georgia Bulldog in 80 years to have 2 touchdowns through the air, 2 touchdowns on the ground. But I think more impressive was the defense. And yes, I get it was Marshall, and that Marshall is not very good. But here's the thing. Last year, Georgia played with their food. See UMass running for 200-plus yards against the Georgia defense. Marshall's first 7 possessions had most of them, I think 5 of them were 3-and-outs, and the other 2, I think, capped at about 5 plays. So to me, that shows what we can expect from Georgia as we go forward. A steady dose of Gunnar Stockton running the ball.
Wow, you're watching Miami, and maybe that's why. We'll give it credit.
We'll give me some credit. But more impressive is that the defense did exactly what they were supposed to. So, I take nothing more away than saying, ha-ha, Alabama, ha-ha, Texas. Maybe you should have scheduled Marshall.
All right. It is 8:36 p.m. here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am on the outskirts in an undisclosed location, having been in Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the past 2 days. And I want to thank everyone who has already tuned in with us watching SEC Sunday Night here on the Chief Sports Network. Let's get into the real deal here, okay?
Yep.
Everybody who's here and everybody who's in our chat box, I see tons of people pouring in, watching us online. You guys want to talk about the big games here in Atlanta. You want to talk about Alabama and Florida State, Craig. So let's unpack those 3 games, and then we'll get ready to welcome in some friends, okay? First of all, Tennessee yesterday makes quick work of Syracuse. I'm just going to call it like it is. There was not much of a competitive element in this game. There was a couple of moments where you felt like Syracuse was trying to fight back. But yeah, it was just dominant all the way around. Tennessee's defense did not give up much ground. The defensive backs did not allow receivers to really get open. They felt like they were really clamped down. Refs were letting them play. The hands were being used for sure. But definitely that defense is going to be a strong point for Josh Heupel again this year. And then they were able to run the ball. It was by committee. There was a group of backs that played for Tennessee yesterday that found success. But the biggest storyline for me, and we said it in the post a minute ago, is in the tweet. No one misses Nico. I mean, whatever his last name is, right? Do we even remember? Do we even know? He's gone.
Not gonna play here anymore.
He's gone. And Joey Aguilar looked apart. You get a Power 4 opponent in week 1. You're going in Atlanta in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The lights are on. It feels like a night game in there no matter what time of day it is. This is a noon kickoff. I came out of the stadium after the game and I'm like, holy cow, why is the sun so bright? The lights are on, and it just feels like an SEC big-time environment even when the stadium isn't full. And so Joey Aguilar not only gets it done with his legs, they cut him loose a couple times early, but he got it done through the air. He found his guys, and my question was answered, Craig, that who's going to catch the ball for Tennessee? Chris Brazzell stands out really early. You had a couple of Mike Matthews sightings, and shout out to Strom Thurmond High School in Edgefield, South Carolina, in Johnston, South Carolina, with a big, deep ball. Bray Staley comes in, and as a true freshman in his first collegiate action, catches a bomb from Aguilar for a touchdown. He did good work as well. I think he's got a good chance to be their number 3 receiver this year. And so Tennessee, SEC over ACC. The final is 45-26, and that feels about right. 45 points for Tennessee.
And that's impressive, right? Because I think you looked last year, they had some really big numbers early on in the season, but that was against like a Kentucky-esque MAC schedule, right? That was against a lot of weaker opponents. So I think to put up 45 points against Fran Brown's defense, I think is impressive. Obviously, they have found their quarterback. And I think what's interesting, something you said there, is maybe the most impressive part of the Tennessee Volunteers and Josh Heupel, their defense instead of their offense, because their defense has been solid the last 2 years. And to me, that is where we're going. I do have a question for you. You know, I'm one to be critical of, you know, these neutral site games. You were there yesterday. You were there today. Mercedes-Benz is a great spot. We go there every year for the SEC championship. What was that like first week of the season? Was that like, you know, was that as good as being in Knoxville? You know, what was your thoughts?
Not a chance. No way is it as good. I love the fact that we have kind of a like bowl game feel. I think for the fans who travel, the experience of the weekend is a lot of fun. Does that make sense?
Yep.
That's where I say
you can probably hit both games. Almost everyone going is probably hitting both games.
I don't think that's true. I actually had a conversation with a Tennessee fan yesterday in the stands who didn't even know South Carolina was playing today in the city, and said he had told multiple people, multiple Carolina fans that he'd seen with the Garnet and Black on that they were in the wrong city. So when we informed him that we were here for the South Carolina game and the Tennessee game, made a little more sense to him. But, you know, I do think that it's a fun trip. It's a fun experience. But what do we all come to do? At the end of the day, do we come for hanging out at the bar and watching football? Do we come for the tailgate even? Or do we come for what's happening on the field? And when you get into the stadium, the in-stadium experience in a pro football stadium, especially in Mercedes-Benz, I was in club environments both times, and so that is a nice touch.
Up, everybody.
That is a nice touch to be able to just go down and scoop up all your free food and watch and have a good comfortable chair and a good way to view it, instead of being, like you said, in Knoxville, just teetering over because it's so steep and squeezed on where you can't hang on to the edge of the bleacher that has numbers on it that are 8 inches apart. But I'm here for the traditions of college football, and that's what's lacking. They try to do this thing where they do both, where they play songs from both schools, where they do these mini versions of the entrance for both schools. South Carolina and Virginia Tech today. We'll turn the page now. You got a little low volume 2001 entrance, and then there was an Enter Sandman moment as well. Both songs got cut short, and it just doesn't. It's cool for a minute, but it's not the overall experience that you're really looking for. So I would
not the SEC championship. The SEC championship hits a little different, I think.
Of course, because there's something on the line, something massive on the line. But
plus, you got a sold out crowd.
Absolutely, and you had the stadium holds about 75,000. There's 45,000 roughly people in the stadium yesterday for Tennessee and Syracuse. You had 55,000 plus in there today for South Carolina and Virginia Tech, which ended at just a few minutes ago. And then I ran over here to jump on with you guys. 24-11, South Carolina wins the game. Really quick start for the Gamecocks. Straight down the field, Lenore Sellers bulldozes his way into the end zone. You could tell the script was working. They had a lot of action where they were bringing tight ends into the backfield, and they were just kind of flaring them out. You ran some the deep slant to Nick Harbor, which worked for a 20-yard gain on that opening drive. They were really able to get it done in that way. But throughout the game, after that opening drive, neither offense was really able to get much done. And so I don't know if that's a credit to the defenses or if we can pick apart deficiencies on offense or maybe a little bit of both. The interior of South Carolina's offensive line really struggled in both facets. There were moments when Mike Shula was clearly trying to establish the run, and there just wasn't much push, especially in the first half. And then there were moments when there was a need to drop back and pass, and they were not able to provide a clean pocket to even the elusive Lenore Sellers. That one play sticks out in my mind where he was wrapped up and he shakes the guy off. He's got the defender on his ankle, and he's about to pull out of that attempted tackle, and another defender just comes and clocks him while he's being held by his ankles. And so, somebody like Lenore Sellers can get out of one guy, but if you're letting 2-3 defenders converge on him at one time from multiple angles, there's really nothing that anybody can do, even somebody as elusive as what we've seen number 16 be over the course of last year and at times today. But by the end of the game, Beamer ball shows up on the side of the Gamecocks now, and Vakari Swain returned a punt for a touchdown, which really opened up the air in the stadium on the South Carolina side of things. You could tell that there was a swagger and a confidence brewing. They played Sandstorm in the stadium following that.
Did you get your glow sticks out?
They had towels for everybody. Every chair was draped in a towel, and so South Carolina fans were still waving the towels just like a home environment. And then, Craig, before I allow you to react, I'm going to say something that has been a long time coming. And Michael, I see you over there in the chat box. Thanks for joining us. The atmosphere was, like I said, it was good, but it could always be better. It's nothing like Williams-Brice.
Nope.
A play that South Carolina fans have been waiting for 3 seasons. The bomb, 64 yards to Nick Harbor over the top for a touchdown. It was a beautifully designed setup. South Carolina got the ball back. It was 17-11, and there was 9 minutes left in the game. And so, me and my dad are talking, and I looked at him, and he says, "Now we're going to run it." I said, "Yeah, he's going to try to pull out like an 8-minute drive and just run it, and bleed the clock down. And if you can do it, you can do it." So the first play goes for 9 yards on the ground. Second play goes for a couple yards to get the first down. And on the third play of the drive, it's a fake to the back, and the safety comes down, and Lenore Sellers, I can only imagine, eyes light up as he
OBC. That's an OBC staple right there, right?
Pulls it out and lets it rip for Harbor over the top, and he was able to showcase the speed. Beautiful deep ball from Sellers. Harbor secured the catch and flew into the end zone, and that's pretty much all she wrote. That was the end of it. Bigger thing that I'll say for South Carolina's defense as far as the defensive front goes, as the game went on, they got better. There were some moments where I felt like in the middle of the game, I posted on X that the interior of the defensive line, the tackles flashed a couple times I noticed in the run game, but there was a lack of consistency there. They were really chipping and double teaming Dylan Stewart a lot. He eventually got home and got his first sack of the season, and then came into the inside and made a tackle for loss on the running back a couple plays later. So as it went along, they got better. Speed at linebacker is definitely evident. Fred Johnson played the most incredible game for a first-time starter at linebacker. A lot of huge expectations around him. He had a few big hits in the backfield. He had an interception. He had a big batted pass. And so he's impacting the game in every way possible. And the secondary featured a lot of faces. You had 3 different safeties that played back there with DQ Smith, taking the spot of Nick Emanwari. You could see they're kind of rotating guys through there with Gerald Kilgore, David Boussey, and Peyton Williams got the start and had a big pick at the end of the game as well. The corner spots, I think that the corners got picked on a little bit, and Virginia Tech's receivers made a lot of incredible 50-50 ball catches. So I can imagine that Torian Gray is going to work a lot this week with 50-50 balls with those guys. The biggest story coming out of that, and because I'm running over here, guys, somebody tell me in the chat box, what did Shane Beamer say about Judge Collier? I'm sure we don't have a real answer yet. But South Carolina's top cornerback, Judge Collier, goes out in the first half. He was on crutches. Clearly, the knee is wrapped up, so I'm unsure exactly what that means. Luckily, there's depth in that cornerback room, but you still never want to lose your number one guy who looks like a stud and is just primed to have a lockdown year. Craig, I know that you were able to watch a little bit. What were you able to see out of the Gamecocks?
So my biggest takeaway is this is Lenore Sellers' team. We kind of knew that going in. He is their running game. He's their juice guy. I think it was great to see Harbor get a couple of those touchdowns. He had a couple of early drops early on. It was kind of like, come on, he could have kept going with it. It was kind of one of those games where you kept waiting for the Gamecocks to kind of pull away. And Virginia Tech, I thought, did a good job. I do think some of that, the secondary, if I'm looking at for a little bit of weakness, I think Virginia Tech did have some success kind of throwing the ball there. So that was an area that did look good. But Lenoris, I mean, he's a dog. I mean, there was one time he had some guy draped all over his back, shuffled him, and able to kind of go off the left side to get that first down. So he was quite impressive. So I think it's, at the end of the day, they're 1-0. And if I do have to say one thing to Michael, as a former Atlanta resident, graduate of Georgia State, Atlanta does not suck.
All right. It's 8:50 here on Sunday night. This is SEC Sunday Night on the Chief Sports Network. If you haven't figured it out, guys, we're going to run a little over tonight. And we're looking forward when we get back to bringing a couple of our friends in here, Drew and Lou, to break down the biggest games in the SEC this weekend. We'll be right back in just a moment, right here on the Chief Sports Network.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
Oh, man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe true health and peak performance start with personalized care. Whether you're an athlete recovering from injury or just chasing your next personal best, we're here to guide your journey. With expert coaching, hands-on therapy, and transparent cash-based pricing, you get the care you need without the insurance red tape. One client drove 100 miles just to see us and said it was worth every mile. Contact us at trifitperformance.com or 803-353-5619. TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, where recovery meets results.
Yo, what's up?
Baby, let's go.
This is SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome back to SEC Sunday Night Live on the Chief Sports Network. We're here every week at 8 p.m. breaking down now finally real football. And so now Craig and I have with us live our friends Drew Crabtree, who is muted. You're going to hit that unmute button there, Drew, so you can talk about it.
No, just keep him muted. Keep him muted. I don't want to hear from him.
And also our man Lou Johnson, who is here. Drew covers Ohio State, and so we're going to break down what happened in Columbus. And Lou, of course, covers LSU and does a great job with that too. So we want you guys to check out what they're writing and the shows that they are hosting and that they're on as well. So let's start in Columbus. Craig,
yep.
Tee it up because you were wrong.
No, I have a question for Drew.
You were wrong.
What's wrong with Ohio State's offense? They only had 200 yards of offense and they only scored 14 points. What's wrong with it? I thought we were explosive. They had, all these great players.
You got a great question, my friend. Other than the fact that Texas is going to have one of the best defenses in the nation yet again, I think that Brian Hartline, who took over play calling duties for Chip Kelly, who bolted to the NFL, he played really, really conservatively. I was watching and I felt that we were back in trestle ball. There were so many 2 and honestly, there were a couple 3 tight end sets on the goal line. There was a freaking fullback in there, Craig.
What's a fullback?
I don't know. We've not used a fullback in Columbus in a long time. So, no, the offense they did have the training wheels on for Julian Sayin, which props to him. He had a fantastic game. Obviously within the bounds, he was serving them up. And the Buckeyes dropped a couple passes. There were a couple, borderline non-calls. I'm not really going to get too worried about whether or not Texas was holding because the Buckeyes won. But they were also letting them play both ways because Davison Igbinosun didn't get called for holding at all. And he was the most penalized player in college football last year. So that offense, I'm not too worried about. Texas is going to have another awesome defense, but, massive shout-out to that offensive line. Buckeyes dropped back, and they made Julian Sayin's job the easiest in Columbus. He dropped back something like 23, 25 times. They got one pressure. Like, they didn't touch him. Colin Simmons for, posting the Julian Sayin's picture on Instagram, non-factor. He was taken out of the game by a tight end, the tight end who transferred in from the MAC. So that offensive line, awesome. I think that obviously next week when they play Grambling and then when they play Ohio and then they get into the non-Penn State and Michigans in the Big Ten, they're going to actually unload. But they were super conservative this week, and I was perfectly fine with it. I was treating it as an NFL game. You got to take what you can, feel each other out. And then they took the one shot, and then, Carnell Tate somehow came down with it. So I'm loving it, honestly.
It was impressive, and you talk about the conservative game from Ohio State. I feel like both staffs were just trying to totally had kids love on that. Sark, shout out to my guy Memphis Spence. He came on here and he had questions about Sarkisian, and I told him, Memphis, you're wrong. He's this great offensive innovator, and turning the ball over twice inside the 10-yard line and losing a game like that probably shows that, this is why Memphis is smarter than me. Not that we already didn't know that as well. But what did you take away from Arch, and why did he look like Uncle Rico throwing so often?
I think that, when they made the hire of Matt Patricia, everybody was clowning on it because, he's either rode the coattails of Bill Belichick all those years. He won the 3 Super Bowls, but it was Bill Belichick's defense. And then obviously when he was a head coach in Detroit, that was a dumpster fire.
I heard.
I imagine you heard up there. His defense was odd. Like, literally, they had odd fronts out there. One of the clips that keeps circulating around is this. They ran a 5 down, and they did the schoolyard, churchyard, something like that, blitz where the linebacker, it was like a delayed blitz, and he got a free run on the quarterback, and Arvell Reese, who people are gonna start learning because that linebacker he's a dog, got a sack on Arch. But the thing is that Sark gave Patricia his flowers in the post game. He said that they were disguising their coverages at an elite level. And then when you go back and watch, Texas had one drive where I was like, okay, this is where Ohio State gives it away. They go tempo, they're going, and Patricia wasn't able to do all of the crazy coverage, hiding what they're doing because it was just tempo. They drove right down the field. Eventually, they got stopped on the 1-yard line, which was awesome for the defense. But that's going to be something that the Buckeyes are going to need to work on moving forward because, while they may not have super high, the best offenses in the country on the schedule, they're going to have, Penn State who can probably move the ball with those running backs. And then obviously they'll have Michigan who's going to run the ball 75% of the time with Chip Lindsey as their new OC. But I loved what I saw from that defense. And I'm you can add me to the I was wrong because I thought that Matt Patricia hire, I'm like, he's going to be carried by the talent on that defense. And, obviously don't get me wrong, that the talent on that defense is ridiculous. Caleb Downs, best defender in college football, arguably.
Georgia Bulldog.
Sorry?
He should have been a Georgia Bulldog, but you guys paid him more.
He's still crying.
Allegedly.
as a Patriots fan, I'm all about Matt Patricia, so don't hate on him. But I think it was great yesterday as well. You mentioned from the Ohio State side of things that it was great for the defense to get that stop on 4th down, but you got to maybe clean some things up not to get to that point. The 3rd down and goal play, on the flip side of things, Arch should have pulled the ball and he walks in. The end crashed and he gives it to the back. And that's the thing where I think maybe from your perspective, Drew, a more experienced quarterback like Drew Aller maybe pulls that. But from Texas's standpoint, don't say it, Craig. From Texas's standpoint, I think that Arch also has to clean that up and continue to grow. And that's just the nature of both of these teams, really, with Julian Sayin and Arch Manning, are going to have to go through some of those growing pains. And I think that overall, we just flushed the idea that Arch Manning was going to have growing pains. I still think here's the thing that I don't want to do.
But here's the thing. There's growing pains, and then there's just flat out missing your receivers. Everything was low behind him, or he overthrows them. It wasn't close.
How much do you think the environment played an impact on the Texas offense?
I have to say that if Ohio Stadium, which is a great environment, if Ohio Stadium at noon rattles you, what's the rest of the SEC slate going to look like? Because like Ohio Stadium was hopping, like it was electric. They did the whole national championship banner reveal. They've done all these things to try and ramp up the hype in the stadium. A couple things awesome. A couple things falling flat. Like they're trying to move when they play Hang On Sloopy. This weekend they played it after the second touchdown, after the Carnell Tate touchdown, and everyone was going crazy. But if you're gonna get rattled by the crowd at Ohio Stadium at noon, sure. I wonder what's going to happen when you're playing in the prime time on the road in the SEC.
It's a great point. And I'll take a moment here to just shout out, as we have 2 incredible guests here on the TriFit Performance guest line. I will make sure that we note that TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance is here for you in your time of trying to improve your performance, whether you're an athlete or just a regular Joe who wants to go out for a run. You need to work on something, your knees, your shoulders, your back. We're all getting older, right? We all need a little physical therapy. We all might need a little work at TriFit, okay? Mitch is the best, and there's no insurance red tape, so you're not going to go in and have to go through this file and this paperwork to get here or there and say, well, we were scheduled to do this today, but I'm really feeling like we need to talk about nutrition. You're not going to need to jump through those hoops because Mitch is going to be flexible and create the plan just for you at TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, TriFitPerformance.com. That is our guest line sponsor. And on the guest line tonight, we have not only Drew Crabtree, but also Lewis Johnson. Lou, you talk about incredible environments. Death Valley in Baton Rouge at night is going to be an environment that's going to rattle a lot of people this year. But this week, the game was played for LSU in the fake Death Valley. They went in and they proved themselves. Let's talk about 2025 SEC champion Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers and what they were able to do to kick off this campaign in Clemson, South Carolina. What were your overall takeaways and any concerns that you have as well?
Well, look, Rob, first I got to congratulate you on calling it. You called it beforehand, and apparently Lee Corso agreed with you. But, man, my initial takeaways from that game, you got to start with the O-line. All the talk surrounding this game coming into the season around Baton Rouge was about the O-line. They kind of underachieved last year when you had proven guys. So when you didn't look great in the spring and then you couldn't settle on starters in the fall, a lot of the fan base was kind of worried. Not even kind of worried. They were absolutely worried about this Clemson front and the problems they were going to present. So you didn't really notice the offensive line for LSU, and that's a good thing. Other than a few penalties here and there, which is kind of typical of your first game of the season, you didn't really notice any shortcomings by the offensive line. Even when you had an injury early on, you had Tyree Adams starting left tackle went out, and DJ Chester, who couldn't even win the left guard, who the staff did everything in the world to give it to him, and he couldn't win it. And he comes in, and you never even noticed that the starter was out at left tackle. So it starts there. But arguably an even bigger point was the defense. It kind of gets swept under the rug. You forget how bad LSU was a couple of years ago. They were in the 100s in total defense. So Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator, improved that defense by over 50 spots, but nobody cared because late in the season, quarterbacks ran on LSU and made them look bad. So this year was the first time you really saw that vintage LSU aggressive attacking defense. And it goes to show how much freedom you can have as a play caller when you have guys who can cover and guys who can get to the quarterback.
Question for you, Luke. You had said earlier when we were chatting that you can't understate the significance of this win. Can you say more to like what you think this means not only for LSU in 2025, but for Brian Kelly and then going forward?
Oh yeah, I love to say more because the internet thugs kind of killed me when I put that article out talking about how big the game was. Oh, he's coached in national championships. He's coached in playoff games. But tell me, how many of those games did you feel like if he lost, it could lead to some job security issues? So let's say he loses this game against Clemson. And I told you guys a few weeks back that I thought LSU was going to be improved, but I thought I picked them to lose to Clemson. But if they did, now you're looking at going 10-1 in the SEC. Whatever that looks like. We don't know who's good yet, but you know it's asking a lot to go 10-1. If you lose more than 2 games total, you're probably not going to make it to the playoffs, which is fine. He's not going to get let go in 25, but you lose so much going into 26. As Texas, how it is coming in with a new quarterback, no matter what you got around him, I didn't see him making it next year. So if you don't make the playoffs in 26, that's 5 years with no playoff appearances, and he was going to be out of here. Now it's a lot of season left to go, but that's a hell of a start to get a road win against a top 10 team. It's going to stack up with anybody later on in the season when you're looking at resumes and deciding who's going to get in. But ultimately, it gives you a better shot at going at least 10-2, and then you don't have to worry about what everybody else does to get in.
Are you still afraid of Alabama?
We're going to get there.
No. There's no fear. Just to be clear, there's no fear regarding Alabama. But you got to be real too. Look, how many times has LSU gone to Alabama and won in the past 15 years? Not often. So
how often has Alabama looked that bad on defense and even worse on offense?
I think you got to go pre-Saban. I think we're talking like Mike Shula.
Yep.
We're going back to the mid 2000s on that one. That was awful. And not only to get beat, but to get manhandled. They physically dominated Alabama. Shout out to Florida State. Quarterback talked the talk, but look, he walked the walk.
Wow, he really did. So speaking of Mike Shula, a lot of Gamecocks over there in the chat box, and again, congratulations on being 1-0. Lenore Sellers is still that guy. But although I just shed my garnet in black to come on here with everybody and just walked out of the bins myself, I will back Lou up to say Clemson's going to have a good year. Okay, so that is going to look good on your resume by the end of the season. Now, this is not an ACC show, but they have some quote-unquote tests in the form of Florida State. Now, what do we think about them? They have SMU, and they have some of these other kind of middle tier. We don't know about them yet. ACC teams like Boston College, Duke, and Syracuse, who I think at times have caused some issue and jumped up and bitten them. They also have Georgia Tech, who we were able to see despite early turnovers in the first half against Colorado the other night. Haynes King is still able to take over a game at any given moment as well. So I do think there's a couple of bumps in the road for Clemson. But I think that at the end of the year, Lou, you're correct. That's going to be a huge resume builder for LSU. And if they can get through the season and manage to come out 10-2, even if they don't follow through on my prediction and land in Atlanta at the end of the year playing for the SEC championship game, I think this one goes a long way towards building that resume to get them into the playoff, because we know that these types of wins really, really matter to the college football playoff committee. All right. For all four of us, can I ask us one two-part question before we get you guys out of here? Go ahead, Craig.
No, go ahead. Go for it. I got it.
All right.
My answer's ready.
All right. Most impressive SEC team, least impressive. SEC team after week 1. Okay. While you guys have a minute to think, most impressive, least impressive, we've got some developments over here on ABC with Miami and Notre Dame. Okay.
Daniels bails out Beck.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, Notre Dame scored to tie the game at 7. And now what an incredible catch as we see it replaying from Daniels and Miami, this game quickly approaching halftime. All right, boys, stalled for you. Talk to me. Most impressive, least impressive.
Go ahead, Drew.
I will. I would say Texas for one or the other, but I will leave that if someone else wants to say it. I will say I liked Missouri beating Central Arkansas. They beat them 61-6. I was honestly really wondering what Bo Pribula, I can never say his name correctly, what he's going to look like after transferring out from Penn State. At Penn State, he was just the backup. You got Drew Aller there, and Drew Aller was not going anywhere. So he was like, you know what, deuces, I'm going to go, I guess, light it up in the SEC. He went 23-28, 283 yards and 2 scores, and also added 65 yards and 2 scores on the ground. I don't know if Missouri is going to be anything to watch in the SEC this year, but that first win, even if it is Central Arkansas, pretty impressive. And then I would honestly say that the most disappointing has got to be the Kentucky. I mean, obviously I was rooting for Toledo because that's where I live. But even if Toledo is one of the best MAC teams in the country, you gotta beat them. Like, obviously last year Toledo went into Mississippi State and absolutely beat them with their own cowbells, but you have to beat a MAC school, especially one that's touting out a running back that you had last year. I still think Toledo is going to be good this year, but you can't beat Toledo at home by 8, man.
Yeah, it's a tough look. And both of those picks, Drew, are not a part of I was wrong, because I think that we expected both of those results. All right, Craig, Lou, we got some thoughts?
Lou, you're the guest.
Yeah, let me jump in there first before you say Alabama. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate that, by the way. Most disappointing team. Don't take my team, man. Yeah, Alabama looked awful. That was embarrassing. They're an embarrassment to the SEC. Might have to kick them out. But yeah, that was bad. As I said, you can take a loss. My bad.
I know my clip for the week.
But yeah, you can deal with taking an L, but to get manhandled the way they did, and Alabama has had the identity of being the physically superior team for so long. So to get a run on like that's rough. I've been a defender of Kalen DeBoer, and he's won everywhere he's gone. And I think people maybe jumped the gun with some of the criticism he got. You kind of underappreciate how tough it is to take over a team and implement everything that you want to do in the first year, no matter how much talent you have. So I wasn't going to be too quick to criticize him, but yesterday, he's not going to survive too many more days like that. Most impressive team was LSU, but we've already talked about that. So I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think Syracuse is an underrated team. I think they're trending in the right direction. Now, they shouldn't have beat Tennessee, I don't think I would put my money on them to beat them, but Tennessee was able to separate themselves from them, end up winning 45-26, and a pretty solid game by their quarterback, who they're not paying $4 million. So that's also a win for Tennessee. So shout out Tennessee. That was an impressive game. Like I said before, LSU was obviously the best win in the SEC in that week 1.
Clearly the most impressive team, because I have to say I was wrong, was the Auburn Tigers, who on Friday night, Brother Hugh found out, oh my gosh, I can run the ball. And he has Jackson Arnold running the ball. I think Jackson Arnold had 125, 130 yards rushing. The team looked good. I still have questions about the defense of the Auburn defense, but anytime you have those receivers and now you have Jackson Arnold running the ball, Auburn will be trouble. and they may be the best team in Alabama. Now, who was least impressive on the week? Kalen DeBoer. I'm not going to say Alabama because Lou already took that one. But Kalen DeBoer continues to lay an egg and a nothing burger. We got so excited last year. He has, Kane Womack from Southern Alabama. He took Drew's guy from Buffalo, has the co-defensive coordinators, has these former head coaches. Now he has Ryan Grubb, and all we heard in the offseason, Ryan Grubb's going to be there. That was that missing piece, and the offense is going to look great. And Alabama just stunk. Florida State was terrible last year. You had a quarterback who was talking trash about you constantly, and you come out there and you don't show it. Stop. This is not Alabama. This is pathetic. I don't know if they're going to be able to raise $70 million, but if anyone's going to be able to, Texas A&M was able to do it. Maybe Alabama will have to do it as well because Kalen DeBoer is not getting it done.
Do we see Keelan Russell this year?
Yes, probably next week.
I've said since the preseason. I think he starts by week 6.
Yeah,
you're going to get to a point where there's nothing to lose.
I'm serious. I don't think that,
especially if they're going to the Fun Belt or wherever you're sending them, Lou.
Even if Austin Mack is better right now, I think you put all your eggs in the freshman and not in the guy that's in his third year of college football. And this has kind of been a battle for the backup behind Simpson, I think. But I'm definitely give me Keelan Russell. I think that we see it eventually. All right, this has been a fun time here on the TriFit Performance guest line. We got Drew and we got Lou. Guys, thanks so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate you both. Go check out their work. I know that they are working on other forms of media, not only with Last Word and their writing, but Lou has a great show that you guys should go follow him and jump in on. Drew's making the rounds tonight. I know this isn't his last appearance, and so make sure that you're checking out everything that he's doing as well. We will be right back in just a minute here on SEC Sunday Night with It Just Means More. Genius.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe true health and peak performance start with personalized care. Whether you're an athlete, recovering from injury, or just chasing your next personal best, we're here to guide your journey. With expert coaching, hands-on therapy, and transparent cash-based pricing, you get the care you need without the insurance red tape. One client drove 100 miles just to see us and said it was worth every mile. Contact us at trifitperformance.com or 803-353-5619. TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, where recovery meets results.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
OTC is go. Packet go. PTC is go. Copy S is go. Houston flight is go. Pilot go. FTM is go. Safety com is go. SCU is go. LRD is go. SRO is go. CDI is go. Launch director NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
It's SEC Sunday Night, presented by Hewitt Diamaduros. Visit hdlawsc.com. It's go time.
All right, welcome back to SEC Sunday Night here live on the Chief Sports Network. Don't forget that tomorrow we will have Rooster Rant, all you Gamecock fans who are over there in the chat box, and as well as a week full of Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show and the show. You got coffee coming up, so you want to make sure that we're tuned in to all of that this week as the Gamecocks prepare for A little bit of an easier matchup next week against South Carolina State. And also remember, SEC Sunday Night is brought to you by Hewitt Dalmaduras Law. If you need them, it's hdlawsc.com. They want a relationship and they want to talk to you. And if you can't say Dalmaduras, it's okay because he can't even spell it. So we want to make sure that you get over there and get involved with those guys. All right, boys, time for some fun. Casey, let me pull you to the middle here.
Whoa.
I know you got some fun stuff. For us. I'm going to sit back into producer mode and get some of this stuff rolling for you. And we're going to hope that my hotel internet is going to continue to keep us going. But, ladies and gentlemen, you know him and you love him. It's time for It Just Means More Genius, the producer of the Message Board Genius podcast. Casey Cregan, take it away, sir.
Guys, I appreciate you having me. I love the Lou and the other gentleman that was just on with you. Why did I just completely crap out on his name? My apologies.
Because he's a Buckeye.
Drew
Crabtree.
Drew.
Lou and Drew.
I knew it was Crabtree because I have a friend Crabtree. But anyway, Drew Crabtree.
Michael?
Yeah, they were great. No, they were great. So I appreciate them. But I want to piggyback off of basically what you guys were talking about. Obviously, I'm here to talk about the two teams that are probably the most disappointing outside or inside of the SEC because we don't know of any other schools in the country that were as disappointing as these two. Nope, not one. Anyway, we're going to go out to Bama Online first. We're going to see our guy Crimson Cade. I don't know if you know this, but Alabama took it on the chin to a lowly ACC school. And this gentleman, conveniently after yesterday, 7:50 p.m., says, "Is college football dying?" I know this is easy for us Bama fans since we lost, but the other games and game day just doesn't feel the same. I feel like not many people care anymore, and it's so sad to me. What do y'all think?
Oh,
So is college football dying, guys?
maybe in Tuscaloosa. Maybe. But no, college football is not dying. No, come on. Stop it. Isn't this convenient? Alabama fans, as soon as things get a little bit tough and as soon as things get a little bit hard, let's be honest. Why did Nick Saban retire? Oh, because the playing field was becoming a little more level. So it's not a shock that Alabama now is finding excuses. What do you think? Do you think college football is dying?
Based on what I saw yesterday from pictures in Clemson, South Carolina, or in Columbus, Ohio, or where were other decent-sized games going on, it doesn't look like there's any problems in the world of college football. The pricing that was happening at some of these games just to get in the door, just to get into Death Valley and Clemson, South Carolina, was $500. I mean, you're talking that's money. That's Rob Williams money, man. That's not any money that I would have. So I was here comfy on the couch. I won't tell you what my mortgage is because I guess that would be what would be the what I was paying versus what I'm getting in. But I get my house for a month to month. Anyway,
right?
Yeah, no, it's not dying, Craig. Not even close.
No, even little old Georgia playing the Fun Belt Marshall. Sanford Stadium was rocking, and it looked alive.
That was another group of pictures I saw. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was another group of pictures. Everyone felt good. As I told you yesterday when we were talking, maybe you should just play the Fun Belt teams. You know what? Everyone wants to poke. Everyone wants to make fun. Georgia took a page out of South Carolina's playbook from last year. I think South Carolina played our Sisters of the Poor, some FCS team, and the D3 team in their non-conference. So, Georgia is just trying to learn from the Gamecocks to make sure that they're putting themselves in the best foot forward and to have a party.
And speaking of the Gamecocks, that place looked rocking today too. I know Rob was there, but even yesterday, Tennessee and Syracuse looked like it was loud and obnoxious. Today, the Benz in Atlanta looked loud. I mean, no, I don't think there's any problems.
Yeah, I would say not a chance. When you have the type of turnout that you have for a neutral site game, and we made this argument earlier. I don't like the neutral site thing. I'd much rather be on campus. It would have been so much better at either place, to be honest. But still, yes, lots of energy, lots of people. The whole city is buzzing with. Yesterday, there was a lot of orange because it's Tennessee and Syracuse, and today, Virginia Tech went all orange. But I saw a lot of garnet and black.
I did like the color rush by Virginia Tech and
I thought that was a
South
good
Carolina.
color scheme. Both
that was
like,
a little Halloweeny,
aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
After you pay the mortgage, have you started decorating the house for Halloween yet, Casey, or not yet?
Do you think I have control of that in this?
I don't have control of that either, but I'm just asking. I know that that's usually like a Labor Day thing. Is like, oh, let's go decorate the house for Halloween.
No, it's Labor Day for me is pressure washing the front of the house.
Oh, fantastic! You can come do mine when you're done.
I'm gonna labor on Labor Day.
There you go.
All right,
I got it.
You ready for my second one?
I'm ready. There it is.
Texas, the other disappointing team. They're already asking. Sark's already on the hot seat. My friend ZOO says, I don't think it's Zoo, but it might be Zoo.
Can be Zoo.
Says, it could be. He says, who can we get to replace Sark? He's cursed. Can we persuade Saban to coach us? Now, I know we'll probably get into this a little bit on our show later in the week, but there's already talk of who's going to replace him. I saw tonight Marcus Freeman in an Alabama, quarter zip that was obviously made by AI. Sark's already getting talked of. Saban, I guess he's the new one that's going to be everywhere, even though he's well retired and having a good time on College Game Day. His name's going to be mentioned. We'll hear Herb's name. We're going to hear who do you think's going to get to A? Do you think Sark's in trouble? Truly, thank you. And
Not
who would they possibly get?
There's nobody. Urban Meyer is a dumpster fire. Nick Saban doesn't like the new rules of college football because the playing field is actually level. So Sark has that perfect relationship. We've talked about it time and again. And let me go on my rant. He has a great relationship with Chris Del Conte. They get the Lambos on DK Royal Stadium. He'll be just fine. You know what? Maybe he has to do? Trust his damn quarterback. Let him throw the ball and don't try to put him under center or try to do some stupid stuff like he was trying to do yesterday. Let him throw it. The same stuff you were doing for Devontae Smith in 2020. Hey, maybe let's see that offense. I bet you Arch could probably do something. I bet you they could score twice inside the 10 instead of whatever the hell that was going on. Not that I'm bitter, by the way, that Arch didn't look good in week 1 and that I really had picked him last week either.
The best joke that I heard about that game all weekend was that Patricia versus Sark looked like the Patriots versus the Falcons in the second half in the Super Bowl. Tough one. Tough one, right? But here's the real deal. Texas is going to be fine. Nobody really thinks they're going to fall apart, right?
No.
They're going to be fine.
Maybe.
They're going to be fine.
Again,
it's week 1, so everybody has to hit the panic button, and I get it. And they come here, and they want us to hit the panic button too. But let me tell you, friends, we're here to talk a little sense into you because we're going to zoom out. And now that we've been consumed with emotion watching our teams, I am going to lead the charge in stepping back and saying, hold on, wait a minute. There's too much that we know about. Yeah, time out. Too much.
I'm timing out for you. Yeah, for you.
Go ahead.
Is Kalen DeBoer? So are we allowed to hit the panic button for Kalen DeBoer in Alabama, or do we have to do the same thing? We have to not overreact. We have to just take it all in. Kalen DeBoer.
No, I think we can react to Kalen DeBoer in Alabama because it's not the first strike. But I don't want to overreact like they're going to go 5-7.
But if they play Cupcake U week 1 and put up a 60 burger, are we still having
Georgia
the same
State?
narrative?
No, not even close.
I mean, like this. That's how I feel for my squad too, right?
We don't know what Florida State is.
Do you think Clemson looked that bad though, Casey?
Yes, but I thought South Carolina didn't look good either. But
was it the running game with Clemson
for sure?
Yeah. Because I don't think Virginia Tech's very good either. I think LSU's pretty good, so I'm okay with our defense. I didn't necessarily LSU's O-line did look good, no question about it. But I thought our defense was fine. You give up 17 points to that guy, and you expect to win.
Agreed. Right. All right. Can I ask one more question then in light of South Carolina and Clemson?
You're the host.
Debate, and then we're going to get out of here. See if I can stump you guys with this question, okay? It is a short answer question, okay?
Is this one of the who said it things?
We're not
who said it game.
We're not doing multiple
First
choice.
Game ever on it's just
I don't need a paragraph. I need a short answer.
Have you met me?
What is a catch?
I think the Brown catch was a catch, and I think the Nick Harbor catch was not a catch.
Wow.
So here's how I think we solve it. You ready for this one? MLB put the pitch clock up there, so the pitcher's got to throw the ball in a certain amount of time. You get 1 minute to look at the play and to review it, and that's it. Don't let it go. Don't let it go 5 minutes, because the more you start to think about it, the more it's like when you're taking a test. Now, granted, I was never good at taking a test in school. That's why I'm an athletic director now. But the more time you have, the more time you have to overthink yourselves. So give it a short amount of time. You get 1 minute to look at it, and that's going to take your gut reaction. It was a catch. It was not a catch.
I mean, obviously they both caught the ball, right?
Yep.
But because of that silly rule of completing the catch to the ground, and that's where it gets me, because they're out of bounds. So they caught the ball inbounds.
They both took 2 steps inbounds.
Correct.
So
in my opinion of what a catch is, and I'm sorry, Rob, you said short answer. They're both catches. Once you go out of bounds, the play's over. Yes. So what happens out of bounds should stay out of bounds.
Especially when you score a touchdown, because then also the play is over once you've crossed the pylon.
That's another thing. So it's almost,
is that where the process is completing, though, right? Because that's the argument, right? Like if you're going out of bounds and the ball starts to jiggle.
How about a run play? The guy crosses the goal line, right, and then someone swats it out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about a catch, if someone swaps it out after it goes to the ground, it's not a catch, but it counts as a touchdown for the run. What's the difference?
Yeah, I think especially when they in both cases they planted 2 feet before going to the ground. It's very difficult for me to reconcile it.
The way that they say it, I mean, it's so objective, right?
They have to rewrite it. That's what it is.
They have to rewrite it. I mean, it was the correct call both times, and it was still equally as dumb.
Yeah. I think it's kind of. I saw somebody say this earlier, and I don't remember who it was. National football analyst, somebody. We've taken common sense out of this.
Yep.
Out of this decision making. You guys gotten too technical. All right, there we go. A great first week. We're gonna go watch the second half of
if you're Alabama
ACC matchup. It's a great first week for football fans. Let's say that, okay? We're all football fans, and college football is back. So we are back, and we'll be back next Sunday night at 8:00 to break down everything for you. We'll have another edition of the SEC Pretty Campus Tour, and we will always have our message board breakdown. Hopefully, given the slate next week, we don't have the meltdowns that we had this week. But you know what? We're going to have some fun anyway. Thanks, Casey, for being with us. Again, shout out to Drew Crabtree and Lou Johnson. Of course, thanks always to John T. Edge for the time in the interview, as well as our friend Dailey Joy for coming on with us. For Craig McMichael, I am Rob Williams, and this is SEC Sunday Night live on the Chief Sports Network. We'll see you next time.